Today, we are looking at an important development from the Central Bank of Iraq that directly addresses one of the biggest topics circulating across Iraqi currency discussions: the possibility of deleting 3 zeros from the Iraqi dinar and introducing a new currency structure. The central bank has now issued a clear statement denying reports that it has already printed quantities of a new Iraqi currency with the zeros deleted for circulation. That statement is significant, but it is also important to understand exactly what the bank said, what it did not say, and what this means for people who closely follow the Iraqi dinar. According to the Central Bank of Iraq, reports claiming that it had already printed new zero-deleted Iraqi currency for future circulation were not based on an official source. The bank explicitly denied that it had printed a new Iraqi currency with the zeros deleted. This is the central fact that should guide today's analysis. The official statement was published by the Central Bank on the 26th of August, 2026, and the bank urged citizens and media organizations to rely on its official statements and channels when discussing monetary policy and currency matters. This means that, as of the latest official communication, there is no confirmed evidence that a new zero-deleted currency has already been printed and is waiting to enter circulation. That distinction is extremely important. There has been considerable discussion online suggesting that the process is already completed behind the scenes, or that new notes have already been produced. But those claims should not be presented as established fact when the issuing authority itself has directly denied them. At the same time, the central bank's statement contains another important detail that deserves attention. The bank did not simply say that the subject of currency restructuring or deletion of zeros can never happen. Instead, it explained that any future project involving restructuring currency denominations or deleting zeros, if an official decision is made, would have to pass through multiple legal, regulatory, and technical stages. The bank also said that any such project would be publicly announced through official channels, along with an appropriate transition period, allowing citizens, banks, and institutions to exchange currencies safely and in an organized manner. That is a very important clarification for Iraqi dinar followers. It tells us that the concept of currency restructuring is fundamentally different from the claim that a completed revaluation or new currency has already been secretly printed. Those are two separate issues. A monetary authority can study, evaluate, or prepare for a possible currency reform without having officially launched a new currency into circulation. In fact, the Central Bank of Iraq has a long-standing institutional role in managing the country's currency. Its own information explains that it has exclusive authority to issue Iraqi banknotes and coins and to determine their denominations, specifications, designs, and other characteristics. The bank also manages the withdrawal and replacement of damaged or withdrawn currency. This is why official confirmation matters so much. Currency changes are not simply announcements that appear on social media. They involve legal decisions, banking procedures, accounting systems, cash management operations, commercial banks, businesses, government institutions, and millions of citizens. If Iraq were to officially implement a 3-0 deletion project, the transition would therefore require extensive preparation. For those unfamiliar with the terminology, deleting 3 zeros is generally described as a redenomination or restructuring of currency denominations. It does not automatically mean that the underlying wealth of citizens suddenly multiplies. For example, if a currency reform were designed so that 1,000 old dinars became one new dinar, prices, wages, contracts, bank balances, and accounting figures would need to be adjusted consistently. The economic impact would depend on how the reform was designed and implemented. This is where responsible analysis becomes especially important. A deletion of zeros should not automatically be interpreted as an overnight increase in purchasing power or as proof that the Iraqi dinar will suddenly trade at a dramatically higher exchange rate against the US dollar. Redenomination and exchange rate appreciation are related to monetary policy, but they are not the same thing. The central bank's latest statement therefore provides a useful reality check. The bank is essentially saying that reports about already printed zero-deleted currency are not official and should not be treated as confirmed. That does not establish a future outcome either way. It simply tells us what is officially confirmed today. There is another reason this announcement matters. The Iraqi central bank has been emphasizing broader monetary and banking reforms throughout 2026. In June, The bank said it was continuing a comprehensive reform program aimed at strengthening monetary and financial stability, developing the banking sector, and increasing its integration into the global financial system. It also highlighted efforts to improve banking compliance and the ability of Iraqi banks to participate in international transfers. This broader reform environment provides useful context for understanding the zero deletion discussion. Currency reform, if pursued, would not exist in isolation. It would be connected to the condition of Iraq's banking system, financial infrastructure, payment systems, inflation management, public confidence, and the country's wider economic reforms. In the short term, the latest statement may actually reduce uncertainty rather than increase it. Citizens who have been hearing that new notes were already printed now have a direct official clarification. The central bank is asking the public to rely on verified information instead of unconfirmed reports. For currency followers, this means the most responsible approach is to separate confirmed developments from commentary, predictions, and speculation. The statement also reminds us that timing is one of the most difficult parts of monetary reform to predict. Even if officials were studying a future restructuring project, that would not tell us exactly when a final decision would be made. A project could require legal approvals, technical preparation, banking system adjustments, public communication, and a transition period before implementation. For the Iraqi economy, the long-term question is therefore much broader than whether 3 zeros are removed. The more important question is whether monetary and banking reforms can improve financial stability, strengthen confidence in Iraqi financial institutions, increase the use of formal banking channels, and support sustainable economic growth. The central bank has already indicated that maintaining exchange rate and monetary stability remains a major objective. In its June reform statement, the bank emphasized its commitment to stability while working to improve the financial sector and integrate Iraqi banks more effectively into international financial systems. For Iraqi Dinar followers, that means the most meaningful indicators to monitor are not rumors about secret currency printing, but official announcements and measurable economic developments. Watch for formal decisions from the central bank, changes to currency denominations, legal or regulatory announcements, banking sector reforms, payment system developments, inflation data, foreign exchange policy, and any officially announced transition procedures. Another important point is that the central bank has specifically warned the public about relying on unverified currency information. Its latest statement says citizens and media organizations should use the bank's official channels for information relating to monetary policy and avoid unverified news, figures, and information that could create confusion or cause financial harm. That warning should be taken seriously, particularly by anyone considering financial decisions based on currency rumors. A social media post, a commentator's prediction, or a claim that something has already happened is not equivalent to an official monetary policy announcement. So where does today's development leave us? The answer is straightforward. The Central Bank of Iraq has officially denied that it has printed a new Iraqi currency with 3 zeros removed for circulation. That is the confirmed position at this time. Claims that the new currency has already been secretly printed should therefore be treated as unverified and contrary to the bank's current public statement. At the same time, the central bank has explained that if a future project involving currency restructuring or deletion of zeros were officially approved, it would require multiple legal, regulatory, and technical stages, followed by public communication and an appropriate transition period. For the short term, the key implication is that there is no official confirmation of an immediate new zero-deleted currency launch. For the long term, the issue remains connected to Iraq's broader monetary and banking reform agenda. Whether Iraq eventually changes its currency structure will depend on official policy decisions, economic conditions, institutional readiness, and the implementation process. And this is an important reminder for everyone following the Iraqi Dinar. Denial of one rumor should not automatically be interpreted as confirmation of the opposite rumor. In other words, the central bank saying that new zero-deleted notes have not been printed does not prove that a major currency change is secretly scheduled. It simply establishes what has and has not been officially confirmed. As we continue watching developments, the strongest signal will always come from the institution responsible for Iraq's currency. If an official decision is eventually made, the central bank itself says that the public would be informed through official channels. with details concerning the process and transition period. For now, the responsible conclusion is clear. The 3-0 deletion remains a subject of discussion and historical monetary policy interest. But the latest official statement does not confirm that a new zero-deleted currency has already been printed or is currently being prepared for immediate circulation. We will continue to monitor official Iraqi monetary developments and separate confirmed information from speculation so you can better understand what is actually happening with the Iraqi dinar and Iraq's economy. If you found this analysis useful, make sure to subscribe to Iraqi Dinar News and like the video for more responsible and factual updates. Thank you for watching, stay informed, and remember that this content is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice.